handwriting's on the wall. So the companies that don't go there, we don't need them. It's not just Europe. Now China. When President Xi came into power with Premier Li announced that and I was pleased, he announced he had read my book, The Third Industrial Revolution. He put out a public announcement. I'd never met him. I'd never even been to China. And he instructed the central government of China to begin looking at these themes that I'm laying out to you to move China to a third industrial revolution. They're mindful in China. They lost the whole first industrial revolution. They missed almost all of the second industrial revolution. It came in the tail in the last 10 years. And they said, we're not going to lose the third industrial revolution. We want to collaborate with the third industrial revolution. And they said, quote, be among the leaders. To show you how fast they move. I've been shuttling back and forth, but after the first visit, it was about 11 weeks later, the chairman of the state grid, which is the largest electricity grid in the world, announced an $82 billion four-year commitment to digitalize the Chinese grid so that millions of Chinese people could produce their own solar and wind in their local communities and share it back on an energy internet. That started this year. Yeah. Watch Europe, watch China. The coming together of the communication internet with the renewable energy internet gives rise to the automated GPS driverless transportation logistics internet. We built the whole global economy in the second industrial revolution around car ownership. That's what this was all about. You've thrown us a curve. You really have. Apparently, you don't want to own cars anymore. This is grandma and grandpa. They got two cars sitting in the driveway, cleaning and waxing them every few weeks, and they're never used. Or they're at the office 90% of the day.
I think you might be coming up against something with these new corporate agreements that they want to foist on us, TPP, TIPS, and so on. But they do seem to contain provisions that would put corporations at an advantage over governments, over elected governments.
Well, let me give you a counterpost. There's another kind of agreement emerging with very different politics. President Xi and Premier Li introduced an idea called Belt, One Road, the Belt and Road Initiative. This is a very different initiative because here's the U.S. trying to isolate, if it will, China with its specific agreements, corporate-led. And the Belt Road Initiative is the idea of resurrecting the old Silk Road from Shanghai to Rotterdam. But it requires a different sensibility. Originally, it was designed just to get a railroad across the hinterlands, crossing the stands all the way into Europe and a Mediterranean route around the southern edge and to Italy. But then it quickly escalated to a conversation, wait a minute, Europe's doing Digital Europe, the Internet of Things platform, Third Industrial Revolution, and that it not only will be in the EU, but our partnership regions in the Mediterranean. That's a billion people market. 500 million in the Union, 500 million in our partnership regions in the Mediterranean, North Africa. China has a similar plan that we've worked with them. It's identical, called China Internet Plus. So the conversation quickly led to, wait a minute, Europe is China's largest trading partner. China is Europe's second largest trading partner. How about a Belt Road Initiative from Shanghai to Rotterdam? That's now in deep conversation, but it requires a different sensibility. No one can control the Internet of Things platforms centrally because it's designed to be distributed. That's the resiliency of the system. And so that if any one power, any nation across the region, is going to try to control it from the top, you can't do it because you can go off grid. And I think all the parties are aware of this. And in my dealings in Beijing and Brussels and Berlin, they're aware that this is a new partnership. It requires collaboration. You got to share best practices. You got to share the science and technology. You got to get over the suspicion. Everyone benefits in the network. It's not geopolitics. It isn't we control, we close, and then we overpower you. It doesn't work in an Internet of Things world. You have to have it borderless. It has to be open. It has to allow you to have a distributed ability to go off and on when you want and have blockchains. So I think this Belt Road Initiative is quite interesting because it may not just be for Eurasia. This may be a vision that would be for a millennial generation, a vision that could move from the Americas, from Canada and the United States down to Chile. Then you have really a distributed biosphere infrastructure revolution, not a traditional geopolitical revolution. And therefore, it requires everyone to be involved because everyone's a player.
My name's Danielle. How do you see your vision and what you've been talking about affecting